Good morning, dear children. As displayed on your screen, our topic for today is from your English supplementary book, Chapter 3, The Desert. If I say the desert and if I ask you a question about a desert, the most common answer that I'll get is it is actually a stretch of sand. As far as you see, you will see only sand. But here, this chapter, The Desert, brings about more information for you about desert and why it should not be ignored, and you should know more about it. The desert actually is a story that revolves around deserts. Many people perceive deserts as the land of sand that has the problem of scarcity of animals and water. Usually we also think the same, that there is no water in desert and animals, they cannot survive there, and the only animal that can survive in desert are the camels, right? However, deserts are important habitats not only for camels but for many other species. A desert is generally without vegetation and water. Moreover, a desert may be too cold or too hot. Usually we think it is only hot, but no. Deserts, they are actually too hot as well as they are too cold. An oasis seems to be a green island in a desert. Plants and animals of deserts can survive on less water because of the condition which they are growing on. However, many other animals and plants cannot survive in desert due to their tendency or due to their requirement which is not being fulfilled over there. Deserts usually they hold significant importance in the great plan of nature. They are not useless pieces of land on earth as many people consider them to be. Desert appears beautiful with desert plants and flowers. Whenever it rains, the sight of the desert can be quite rewarding, which is similar to that of any tropical garden. You just need to visit a desert and just go deep inside it to see all this beauty, whatever it carries inside itself. So let's begin with the chapter. Many people hold the opinion that a desert is nothing more than an endless stretch of land. Furthermore, people have this impression of deserts that they are dry, thin, waterless, hot, and without shelter. So, people hold a negative opinion about deserts. In contrast to general opinion, deserts are really beautiful places on earth. Furthermore, deserts are home to a variety of plants and animals. It is certainly a rare, precious site where desert bloom exists as rainfall takes place. Yes, rainfall also takes place in deserts. No difference exists between desert and also tropical land. Deserts are filled with hills or mountains, but not necessarily a flat land as we always imagine in our mind when speaking about desert. An oasis is similar to a green island that one can find in the middle of the desert. Desert may consist of green plants and trees. Such plants and trees certainly provide comfort and shelter. Furthermore, deserts can also consist of springs. Yes, they can also consist of springs. A desert is a hot region, but it can also be a cold region like Ladakh. Sand dunes are mounds comprising of a heap of sand that tend to move and shift endlessly at the time of strong winds. Yes, they do. They just keep moving when there is strong wind. Very few plants are able to survive on the shifting mounds of deserts. Living things that are that are desert adapted are able to deal with the scarcity of water. Because of their adaptation, they have well adapted with the uh, surrounding environment. Such animals are able to survive because they require less water for their survival. Now comes the camel, which we always imagine whenever we talk about desert. Camel is actually a desert animal that is known as the ship of the desert. So, which is known as the ship of the desert? Camel is known as the ship of the desert. This animal can survive without water for days. Camels actually drinks plenty of water at one time, and that is the reason why they can store a lot of water for so many days. Camels, they also sweat very little and can bear high body temperature. This is because the bodies of camels are different from our bodies. We, unlike camels, have to sweat to keep our bodies cool and maintain the appropriate temperature, but camels, they do not have to do the same. Smaller desert animals, they hide in underground burrows. They hide themselves underground. This allows them to escape the extreme desert temperature. Now, if I ask you a question, how the small desert animals they save themselves from the extreme heat of the desert? So the answer is here. They hide themselves in underground burrows because this allows them to escape the extreme desert temperature. Furthermore, these animals get water as per their requirement from plants and the moisture of meat of the animals who are dead, or they just hunt them down. So how these animals they get water? They get water as per their requirement from plants and the moisture of the meat. Desert plants like cactus are able to store water thanks to their thick stems. Such plants lack deep roots, hence they absorb rainwater because they are close to the surface. So in this way cactus also retain their water. Variation of temperature and dryness are distinct features of deserts. The moisture of the humid climate is missing in the desert due to the lack of this blanket. Now which blanket? The moisture. So due to lack of this blanket, desert lands heat up rapidly as well as cool off rapidly at night. So because there is no moisture, there is no humidity, but it is very dry, that is the reason during daytime the sun it directly reaches the surface and it becomes very hot, and during the night when it is cold the surface it cools off rapidly. Desert is certainly a gift of nature to everyone. As such, its importance is the same as that of other gifts of nature like forest and ocean. Most noteworthy, one must not detest deserts but rather should consider them as blessing of nature. So in the conclusion, I will say that the desert story sends a very powerful message about the value of desert and why they should not be ignored. Deserts are also as beautiful as the hills and tropical regions that we know. So you should never think that a desert is only an endless stretch of land, but actually within it, it holds so many beautiful things which you will see when you visit a desert. And now definitely by reading this chapter, by knowing so many features of desert about how the small animals they survive, how the camel it without water lives for so many days, what are the condition, what are the situation, and what are the variations. I believe you understand this all. Go through the chapter one more time so that when we meet again for our Q&A session, that time if you have any doubt you can ask me the question and I can clarify it for you. So until we meet again, go through the chapter, read it again and again, and any doubt write the questions in a copy so you can ask me when we'll meet again. So till then, take care, stay safe and stay at home.